Hello, good people. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Make America Think Again with Shanavonn. I hope everyone is doing well. Happy Thursday to you. I am supposed to be live right now, but technology was not cooperating with me. I don't know what the heck. I don't know what the heck was going on. So I decided to continue to push through, and I'm going to record this and post this video for you today because there's a lot of news happening. And by Saturday or Sunday, when I record again, 2 days, 3 days from now, it will be something totally different. So, right now, I want to talk about the political prisoners who are being held um, against their will in Minnesota. And they were picked up this morning by order of Pam Bondi and the DOJ for an incident that occurred on Sunday. Now, a lot of you have probably just heard what's floating around on social media, and you probably just heard Don Lemon's name connected to it. Don Lemon, the journalist from CNN and many other networks, but you probably just heard his name attached to it. But let's talk about how everything went down first. Let's move back, take a couple of steps back, and see how we got here. So on Sunday, I literally watched this entire live. Why? I just happened to be on social media and Don Lemon popped up. So I was like, oh, let me watch and see what he's doing. I knew he was on the ground in Minnesota. Well, I knew he was going to be on the ground in Minnesota. So the number one thing I would tell everyone out there is to watch the live. Watch it for yourself. It is posted on his YouTube page and probably on his website and a couple of other pages. Watch the live for yourself. Believe your own eyes. Believe your own eyes. So Don Lemon met with some community organizers, and I'm going to give you their names. Dr. Nakima Armstrong, she is an attorney, she's a pastor, she's also a community organizer. Chantel Allen and Monique Dowdy, they are both with Black Lives Matter. And then you had William Kelly was arrested today as well. He is known as the woke farmer on social media, but he's also a veteran and an activist. And so he was there on Sunday as well as part of the peaceful protesters that showed up to this church. Now, here's what you need to know. Before we even get to the church, Don Lemon didn't even know where they were going. They did not tell him. I started watching the live when they were in a parking lot. It's snowing, it's cold, they're in a parking lot, freezing. They're in a parking lot. He was not given information as to where they were going. They had to create a caravan to follow one another because they didn't want the information to get out. Okay. So he didn't even know where he was going. Then they show up, they get to the location. He allows time for the people to go in, the protesters to go in, and then he follows in with his camera, doing the job of a journalist. Doing a job of a journalist, witnessing and asking questions or asking anybody if they wanted to talk about what was happening, what was going on in that moment. That's what he did. Now, today, what you have heard, the right wing has just blown a fuse, and they are going after Don Lemon. And you're like, well, Shauna, if it was so innocent, if he was just being a journalist, why are they trying to charge him with the Klan Act? Why are they trying to charge him with the FACE Act? Because they're trying to make Don Lemon the big black boogeyman. They're trying to give some red meat to their base. And their base loves a black man. And then also, I believe because he's in independent media, and independent media cannot be controlled. And the powers that be have a problem with that. They've already got CBS under their thumb. They've gotten ABC to not only under their thumb, but also to pay a lawsuit. They through CBS, they were able to cut off the documentary about CCOT, that detention center, and what's going on there. So they want to control all the media. So independent media poses a threat to those who are trying to control the narrative. So you really must understand what this is all about. And I want you to also remember and reflect on what we saw happen, and is still happening in Gaza. What Israel did to Gaza, what Israel did to journalists specifically in Gaza. I want you to think about that. First, they just became targeted, flashbangs. They started hitting, dropping things around their vehicles, etc. And then it moved to unaliving them. And I don't even know what the number is at this point. I really don't. I know it's in the hundreds of how many journalists that Israel took out in Gaza. It is the same shit, because we would not have known what was going on in Gaza, what Israel was doing to Gaza, if it hadn't been for all the people that were documenting what was happening to them. All those independent journalists on the ground, and all the individuals who were being tortured and terrorized by the Israeli government. If it had not been for them, we would not know what was happening in Gaza. Well, it's the same shit. It's the same playbook that they're trying to start using here. And Don Lemon is the target of today. Trust me, it'll be somebody else in a couple of days. Trust me. So make him the big black boogeyman, control independent media, and feed the base. That's what Don Lemon's role in all of this is. Because if you watch the live stream, you will know for sure he did nothing. He didn't participate in the protest. He didn't even go into the church at the same time with the protesters. He was asking questions of both sides, to give their point of view, both sides. He was doing the job of a journalist. And so now, this morning, what happened this morning is they tried to go after Don Lemon. A judge refused to sign the criminal complaint in regards to Don Lemon, but there were judges that signed off on criminal complaints against Dr. Nakima Armstrong. She's an attorney, she's a pastor, she's a community activist. Chantel Allen and Monique Dowdy. They are leaders in the Black Lives Movement chapter there in Minneapolis. And then you also have William Kelly. And he was picked up this morning as well. Now, it's my understanding that he's been separated from the ladies. He was picked up and is being held by the U.S. Marshals. And then you have the ladies that are held because they reported to a hearing, and they were arrested at this hearing. So the jail. Now, here's the other thing. Why I'm calling them political prisoners, because number one, they didn't do anything wrong. They were exercising their First Amendment right. Number two, they are being denied legal representation. Right now in Minnesota, they are refusing to allow their legal representation to get into the jail to speak to them. They're not allowing anybody to go in or to go out, because it was said earlier they were going to release the ladies, and then all of a sudden they're not. And then so the attorneys show up, and then now they're not letting the attorneys in because people have gathered to protest. And so I guess the messaging is, or what they're trying to put out there is, oh, we're just going to shut it down because we can't have people coming in here. We can't have people going out. But in reality, legally, they are supposed to allow them access to legal representation. So that is against the law. And then also infringing on their First Amendment rights. As a matter of fact, this DOJ and this administration is trashing all of our First Amendment rights. And that is the bigger message here. If we sit back and we allow them to do what they are doing to the people that they are holding right now and to target Don Lemon, they will continue to erode our constitutional rights. And the one that we're talking about right now is the First Amendment right to protest. Now, I know some of you, before you jump in the comments, you say, well, they should be charged with the Klan Act. They should be charged with the FACE Act. Let me prove to you, at least on Don Lemon's part, and I will give you, I'm going to read both. Okay, I'm going to read both. And we're going to talk through this because A lot of y'all not making sense. A lot of y'all are not making sense. Maybe you can't read. I don't know what's going on. But let's start with the Klan Act. So the Klan Act of 1870 refers to the Enforcement Act of 1870 during the, let's see, a U.S. federal marshal passed during Reconstruction to protect, so this was passed during Reconstruction to protect African American voting rights by targeting discrimination by state officials and violent groups like the KKK. These people went in and were protesting. Hands are up in the air, both hands up in the air and protesting. And they were literally just saying, ICE out, repeating that over and over because the pastor, one of the pastors at this church, happens to be one of the, I don't know if he's a recruiter, but he's high up in with the ICE folks. And that's why this church was targeted. Now, me, in my personal opinion, this was not a sanctuary or a church. It didn't look, me, in my opinion, this was not a church. This was a den of iniquity that was protecting protecting Satan, because that's how I see the icy folks right now. That's how I see them. They're picking up 5-year-old kids and trying to use them as bait. They're going in and snatching kids while they're on Zoom, and these children are too afraid to go to school, and they get snatched up out of their own homes. They're shooting people. There's been a homicide in, I want to say that was in a Georgia detention center where it was another George Floyd situation. It's asphyxiation. This guy was killed in this detention center because they choked him out. Like, they are behaving like Satan, what I know to be Satan. So this church, in my opinion, if you're harboring Satan, you're not a church. You're not a church. You're a den of iniquity, protecting a demon. That's my opinion. But these people went in to peacefully protest. And here's the other thing. Here's the big thing about protesting. If you aren't trying to disrupt shit, what are you doing? What are you doing? What is the purpose? If we just come in here and we sing Kumbaya and we take up space, they are not going to care about that. People have to feel discomfort. That's the only thing that moves certain people. And y'all know what certain people I'm talking about. The only thing that moves them is when they're uncomfortable. We got to feel uncomfortable hearing the history. Our children got to feel uncomfortable reading that book. We got to feel uncomfortable when you say those things, when you call us Schlotskys. We feel uncomfortable. Make those motherfuckers feel uncomfortable, because that's the only way that they are going to do anything. So they're in the church, they're protesting. Apparently people felt uncomfortable. Some left. Their ability to leave was not impeded. They were not stopped by any means. Nobody got in their way. Nobody obstructed them from leaving the church. Nobody obstructed anybody from coming in the church. As a matter of fact, the police showed up, but they didn't come inside. Somebody needs to be asking that. Why didn't the police come inside? If it was such a dire situation, if these crimes were being committed, why didn't the police come inside the church? They did not. They were sitting outside. Watch the live stream for yourselves. Watch it. Okay, so you all have a platform. You all have a platform. We all do. I don't care if you have access to 15 people or you have access to hundreds of people or thousands of people. We all have a platform. Use your platform in this moment, because the only thing that is going to save us in regards to this is making noise and speaking up. The DOJ is not coming to do anything. The DOJ is creating these scenarios where they make it look like there are these heinous crimes that are being committed, and little Bovino or Bonvino, he's got to go in with his big coat on. They're creating political theater. That is their role, and sensationalism. That's what's happening. And also, right now, what is happening in this moment around this situation, you have white Christian nationalists trying to play the victim, so that they can push the white Christian nationalist agenda. That's it. Political theater, sensationalism, and then this whole book victimhood narrative to push the white Christian nationalist agenda. Oh, they're coming into our churches. They're attacking us in the churches. Watch the live stream for yourself. No one was touched. No one was stopped from going in or out of that building. Um, Don Lemon was asked, hey, you want to say something? Do you want to be on record? Do you want to be on camera? People stepped up if they wanted to. If they didn't, they walked on by, or they said no, they don't want to be on camera. And that was that. He was doing the job of the journalist. Now, let me read the other one, the FACE Act. For those of you that I know are going to get in my comments and say, well, if it's not the Klan Act, it was the FACE Act. Okay, so here's the FACE Act. Read these things for yourselves, people. Read it. Okay, it's a simple Google. It's not that hard. The FACE Act is a 1994 U.S. federal law making it a crime to force, there was no force, threats, there were no threats, or physical obstruction, there was no obstruction, to block access to reproductive health care. We weren't even there. This was a church. Or to interfere with religious worship. Okay, so let's stop here. Making it a crime to use force. There was no force. Threats. There was no threats. Or physical obstruction to block access to. Fill in the worship, religious worship. So physical obstruction to block access to religious worship. The physical obstruction. There was no physical obstruction. There was noise obstruction. So maybe the pastor couldn't speak over the protesters, but no one was physically obstructing them, keeping them out of the church. The people were in the church. The people were already in the church. So I don't see how the FACE Act could even apply, but I'm going to continue to read. Okay, so to interfere with religious worship, protecting both patients and providers. Nothing happened to the pastor, nothing happened to the parishioners or the flock, as he said. The pastor on camera kept saying his flock. So the flock was not blocked or damaged or impeded in any way. It prohibits intentional property damage, none. Intimidation, well, here's where the uncomfortable comes in. I felt uncomfortable. I felt scared. That's probably where they're going to go with this. And injury, no injury, to those seeking or providing services at clinics or houses of worship. So the only things that I can see here that they are going to try to make apply to Dr. Armstrong, to Chantel Allen, to Monique Dowdy, and William Kelly are the intimidation piece, because, people are so scared. And then also, not the physical obstruction, there were no threats, there were no force, or to interfere, the interference or the intimidation. Those are the only two words that I see that they can twist and try to make apply to this situation. But here's what I want to say to you. Number one, watch the live stream yourself. Go to Don Lemon's page and watch the live stream for yourself. And then read over these two acts and you see if you can pinpoint where they apply. I could not. And then get loud. Get loud, get loud, get loud. Start talking about this. Start speaking up against it. We need to go as hard as we went for Jimmy Kimmel. We need to go for Don Lemon or any other journalist because this is connected to all of our First Amendment rights. And once they start taking it from the journalist, ours are surely to be eroded as well. So watch the live stream, folks. Please watch it. Please get out in the streets and protest and use whatever platform you have. Use whatever space you have and access to other people that you have to share the truth, to have conversations, to really incite critical thinking and have people look at situations objectively versus with blinders on, with this willful blindness to just follow a narrative and just repeat and regurgitate whatever you hear coming from one side or the other. And y'all know what side I'm talking about. Okay?